Hello friends, it's Jennifer Terri and welcome to another Philippine travel update. In this video, we'll only talk about international flights. We'll check the schedule, we'll check some prices, and we'll also talk about the travel cap in the Philippines. For those of you who haven't subscribed to the channel, sa mga hindi pa subscribe to the channel. I make Philippine travel updates. Now, let's go ahead. So, we'll talk about the three main airports, okay? Their flight schedules on the airlines that fly in those airports. So, let's start with Clark. So, Clark, what airlines are flying in Clark? So, there are 4 airlines. First, there's Emirates. There's Dubai to Clark, Clark to Dubai. Every Monday, Friday, and Sunday. There's also Tuesday and Thursday. So, sa mga kababayan natin na nasa UAE, yan, Emirates, Dubai to Clark. Meron din Qatar Airways, Doha to Clark, Clark to Doha. Kada Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, a lot of travelers transit in Doha, and Qatar Airways is one of the best airlines in the world. Next, we have Jetstar. There's Singapore to Clark, Clark to Singapore. Yan, guys. So, for those transiting in Singapore, don't forget na except if you're coming from Taiwan or New Zealand or mainland China, okay, if you're not coming from those 3 countries, for example, galing ka ng Malaysia or galing ka ng Thailand or galing ka ng kahit saang bansa, basta hindi dun 3, kailangan ng negative COVID test result to transit in Singapore. So that's Jetstar, Singapore to Clark, Clark to Singapore. There's also Scoot Airlines. This was my airline, guys, flying to the Philippines, and so far they are good naman. I never experienced flight cancellation or flight changes to them, and the flight was very smooth. So there's Singapore to Clark, Clark to Singapore daily. Wow, araw-araw. Now, domestic flights. So let's say you landed in Clark, but you're not really from Clark, and your final destination, and let's say in Visayas or in Mindanao, you guys can fly with a domestic flight. So, unfortunately, Clark has very limited domestic flight. Konti lang po yung domestic flight sa Clark. There's only Cebu to Clark, Clark to Cebu with Cebu Pacific, and then Davao to Clark, meron ding Clark to Davao. For PAL, there's only Cebu to Clark, Clark to Cebu. So, where's Manila? How about if I wanna go back to Manila? Clark to Manila, wala po siya. Okay, now let's go to Cebu. Flights, international flights and domestic flights in Cebu. So for Cebu po, here are the international airlines flights in Cebu. There's Qatar Airways, Doha to Cebu, Cebu to Doha, 6 times. Wow, 6 times weekly. There's also Emirates, Dubai to Cebu, Cebu to Dubai, 2 times a week. Every Tuesday and Thursday. There's Scoot Airlines, my airline, char. Sa akin na talaga. Singapore to Cebu, Cebu to Singapore, 4 times weekly. There's Cathay Pacific, Hong Kong to Cebu, Cebu to Hong Kong, 4 times a week. There's Jeju Air. So even like, let's say you're coming from America, you can transit in South Korea, in Incheon. And they have flights to, walang announcement for October, but meron sila mga scheduled flights lang, limited lang yung flights nila. But there's Jin Air too, limited lang din yung flights nila to Cebu. So just check their website, guys. Incheon to Cebu, Cebu to Incheon. While for Philippine Airlines, flight to or from Cebu, there's Los Angeles to Cebu via Manila. That's 1 times weekly, every Saturday. The via Manila po is yung pabalik ng US. So, Cebu to Los Angeles, then layover sa Manila. Then there's San Francisco to Cebu, Cebu to San Francisco via Manila, 1 times weekly. There's, for kababayans in Saudi Arabia, meron pong Dammam to Cebu, Cebu to Dammam, 1 times weekly. And then, Narita to Cebu, Cebu to Narita, scheduled lang. And then, Singapore to Cebu, Cebu to Singapore, scheduled lang din. So, next up, domestic flight. So, you landed in Cebu but you're really not a Cebu resident. Don't worry. That's what I did too. Nagland ako sa Cebu, taga Davao talaga ako. Kumuha ako ng domestic flight. Pagka-release ng BOQ certificate ko, bye-bye Cebu, I flew to Davao. Straight away, guys. So, huwag kayong mag-alala. There are so many domestic flights in Cebu. Yan, napakadami. Hindi ko nababasahin, guys. But merong AirAsia, Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines. Meron sa Maynila, napakadami. Parang 10 10 daily flights to Manila, guys, from Cebu. And then, merong Visayas, merong Mindanao. Di ko nababasahin, guys, ha. Next up, for Cebu Pacific naman, international flight schedules. So, those who want to fly with Cebu Pacific, ito po yung flight schedules nila for the month of October. Manila to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to Manila daily. There's Manila to Seoul, Incheon. There's Manila to Tokyo every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So, for kababayans in Japan, you can fly with Cebu Pacific. Hindi po requirement ang negative COVID test result. So, Narita, Osaka, Nagoya, yan. Marami silang flights. Meron ding Manila to Singapore, Singapore to Manila. There's also Malaysia flights, Manila to Kuala Lumpur. Twice monthly on October 4 and 18. Meron ding Kuala Lumpur to Manila on October 5 and 19. Manila to Fukuoka, Fukuoka to Manila on every Tuesday starting November 2. And then, I'm not sure how to read it, but please bear with me. Guangzhou to Manila, this is China to Manila. Sorry, every Tuesday. Yan. That's Cebu Pacific. Now, good news guys about the travel cap is that IATF po ay nire-recognize the jurisdiction of CAB over the air rights agreements in the Philippines. CAB wants to open other airports kasi we know that the main gateways in the Philippines, there are travel cap. But the good news is that the IATF will not object. Hindi sila makikisawsaw. Hindi nila pipigilan ang CAB na mag-open ng other airports. So, the airlines will triangulate international arrival flights to different gateways. So, instead na i-cancel yung flight nyo, lalapag na lang siya sa ibang airport. Yun yung maganda. So far, Zamboanga Airport daw may soon accept international flights in Southeast Asia, particularly in Kuala Lumpur. Philippine Airlines will submit its proposal for international flight accommodation with other Southeast Asian nations. Yan. So, expected na Zamboanga Airport din mag-accept ng Malaysian flights. Now, let's go to Philippine Airlines flight schedules. Before we read the flight schedules, warning. Authorities currently impose flight arrival cap. Dahil po may arrival cap sa Manila, sa Cebu, sa Clark, hindi maiiwasan. Airlines, they do not want to cancel your flight. So, instead of canceling it, they may reroute. Pwedeng ma-reroute your flights to Cebu, Clark, Lawag, Davao, or Subic. You know what? Rerouted is better than canceled. Diba? Diba? Napunta tayo sa Philippine Airlines flight schedule for the month of October. Okay, punta tayo sa site nila. Ilalagay ko itong link sa baba. Oopsie. Yan, ito na pala. So, flights for October and beyond. So, their Los Angeles flight is daily. Wow. And then, Manila to San Francisco is 4 times a week. San Francisco to Manila, 5 times a week. But, PR 105, every Saturday will be rerouted to land in Cebu. Manila to New York, that's 2 times a week. Remember, guys, that your first port of entry will be your area of quarantine. So, let's say, for this one, for San Francisco to Manila flight on every Saturday, you will quarantine in Cebu. Next up, we have New York to Manila, 2 times a week. Manila to Honolulu, that's 1 times a week, but starting October 17, good news is that it will be 3 times a week na mas madami na. Honolulu to Manila, yun guys, same thing, once a week, pero pagka October 17, magiging 3 times a week. Manila to Guam, 2 times a week. Manila to Toronto, on Toronto to Manila, once a week. Manila to Vancouver, 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, at Saturday. So you guys, when you book your flight, make sure that match siya sa flight schedule para hindi ma-cancel. While for special flights to Australia and New Zealand, there's Manila to Auckland on October 17 and 30. You guys need to register in the link, special link to apply for this. Because especially Kiwis, New Zealanders, and permanent residents in New Zealand, there's an outbound ban. So you need to secure first a travel authority to leave New Zealand. And then there's Manila to Brisbane on October 1. Brisbane to Manila, October 2 and 17. Manila to Melbourne, that's 8 and 22. To Sydney, only one flight lang, October 1. Sydney to Manila, however, is mas madami, October 2, October 9, and October 23. We will check some prices after this. Manila to London, it's October 25, 26, November 9, 23, December 7, and December 14, January 4, and 11. Gabi, all throughout until next year pa, no? So, yan yung mga special flights nila. Manila to Singapore, napakadami. And then, Manila to Kuala Lumpur, once a week lang. Manila to Saigon. Saigon to Manila, October 6 and 20. Yan, mga special dates lang, guys. So, mag-check na tayo ng prices. Tara, check natin yung prices. And then, for Jakarta, Seoul, and Bangkok, yan yung schedule, guys. Ilalagay ko yung link sa baba. For Tokyo, Japan flights, 4 times a week. But going back to Tokyo, daily po. Then, Cebu to Tokyo, October 2 and 16 lang. Yan, to Fukuoka, 3 times a week. Osaka, daily. Itong Nagoya, 3 times a week lang. Kada Monday, Wednesday, at Friday. Ang Manila to Dubai, Dubai to Manila, very good. 4 times a week na siya, guys. Pero yung flight sa October 2, rerouted sa Subic. Merong ding Dammam to Manila na mabilis maubos. Maraming kababayan dito sa Saudi Arabia. Madali maubos ang mga flights. So, yan siya, guys. Manila to Doha, meron ding 4 times a week at 5 times a week. Mag-check na tayo ng prices. Tara. Tara. Okay. Punta tayo sa... Try natin yung Los Angeles to Manila. So, for example, darating kayo sa Philippines, October 15. Go back to the US. Let's say you stay here for 1 month. Remember, guys, going back to the US starting early November, if you are not an American citizen or a permanent resident in the US, you need to be fully vaccinated to enter the US. That's starting early November. Okay, here we go. Wow, napakamahal. Very expensive. This is Economy Flex. Los Angeles to Manila on October 15 is $1,932.70 US dollars. That includes 2 pieces of 23 kilos, 50 pounds per piece. Wow, grabe. Continue din pabalik sa US. Tingnan natin. Wow, grabe, guys. Tingnan nyo, yung papunta ng Pilipinas, 1,900. Yung pabalik ng US, 500. Grabe, ang mahal ng flights pa Pinas. So, November 15, we have 1,000. Yung mahal na pili ko, sorry. Balik tayo. 525 lang. So, kung kukunin nyo itong flight na to, aalis kayo ng US ng October 15 at babalik kayo ng November 15, stay kayo ng 1 month sa Pinas. Total price ticket with Philippine Airlines is 2,458.17. Medyo mahal. Sobra 100,000, di ba? Grabe. Mahal, guys. Okay, try na naman natin San Francisco. San Francisco to Manila. Manila. So, let's say you leave San Francisco on October 20. You go back on November 20. Okay. Remember, guys, that if you're flying direct with Philippine Airlines from anywhere in the world, you don't need negative COVID test result. If landing nyo is Manila, Cebu, or Clark, hindi siya required. Okay, for San Francisco to Manila, there's only 1,277.70 US dollars. Okay, tapos pabalik ng US ng November 20, nasa 625.47. Yan yung pinakamura. So, kung kukunin nyo itong flight na to, stay kayo ng 1 month sa Pilipinas, total price ticket is 1,903.17. No, mas mura siya compared doon sa Los Angeles. It's cheaper. Okay, next up, let's check Vancouver. So for our dear kababayans in Canada, to Manila. Okay, let's do October 17, balik kayo ng Canada, November 17. Yan, October 17, nasa 1,963.31 Canadian dollars. And then, pabalik ng Canada, on November 17, pinaka-cheap, 560.55 Canadian dollars. So, total is 2,523.86 Canadian dollars. Let's check daw sa ibang airline. So, try ko guys ha. Vancouver to Manila flight. Iba yung kinuha natin is October 17. Try natin. October 17. Tapos, balik ng Canada ng November 17. Oh, the prices are shown in Philippine peso, guys. Kasi nasa Philippines ako. Mahal talaga siya, guys, kahit sa ibang airlines. 68,000. Pero, yan. This is, ay nako. Don't take this flight. This one has a layover in Taiwan. Do not, guys. Problematic. Hindi bawal yan, bawal. So, there's not many choices here. These are multiple airlines. Guys, I do not recommend you to fly with so many different airlines. So many layovers. It's hassle. Tingnan mo. Grabe. Ito naman. Oh, this one is fine. It's a layover in the US. Pero 8 hours. Too much. That's too much. Mahal naman. Mahal pa din naman. So, direct ka na lang. Okay, let's check other routes na naman. Let's go with Asia. So, let's do Japan. So, let's do Narita. Narita to Manila. Stay ka ng 1 month sa Pinas. Alis ka ng October 15. Balik ka ng November 13. Proceed. Yan, Tokyo to Manila ng October 13 ay nasa 123,760 Japanese yen. Tapos, pabalik ng Japan, ay grabe. Grabe siya. Isipin mo, papunta ng Pilipinas, 123,000 yen. Pero pabalik ng Japan, 39,000. Grabe, ang mahal ng flights pa Pinas, guys. Grabe. So, total price ticket is nasa 163 and 570 Japanese yen. Magkano ba yan sa Philippine peso? I'm curious. Convert natin. 163, 750 yen to PHP. Okay. 74,796. Not too bad, I think. Yung mahal lang naman talaga is itong papunta ng Pilipinas. I think this is all for this video, guys. Kung gusto nyong i-check, lagay ko yung link sa baba ng mga flight schedules. Yeah, if you have any questions, comment down below. Mag-ingat po kayo. God bless. And don't forget na kapag uuwi kayo, mag-comply lang kayo ng mga requirements, One Health Pass, hotel booking, kung non OFW. Yan talaga yung pinaka-importante sa lahat. And then, kung yung airline nyo ay isang foreign airline, magdala kayo ng face shield. Kung yung airline nyo ay Philippine Airlines, magbibigay naman sila ng face shield kung wala kang face shield. So, yun lang guys. God bless you. Stay safe and mag-ingat. Subscribe, i-like, mag-share. And bye-bye!